What if your child could inherit DNA not just from two parents, but three? This is not science fiction anymore. This week, the UK confirmed the birth of 8 healthy babies conceived through a radical technique that uses DNA from 3 different people. But how does it work? Why is it done? And what does this mean for the future of humanity? Today, we're diving into one of the most extraordinary and controversial breakthroughs in modern science, where biology meets ethics, and life is rewritten at its earliest stage. To understand why this technique exists, we have to start with a small but mighty part of our cells, the mitochondria. They're often called the powerhouses of the cell, but mitochondria have their own DNA, known as mtDNA, and it's passed down only from the mother. The discovery of mitochondria dates back to the 19th century, but their role in genetic inheritance wasn't fully understood until the 1960s and 70s. Since then, researchers have uncovered just how critical these tiny organelles are, especially when their DNA is faulty. In some women, mutations in this mitochondrial DNA can lead to devastating disorders, affecting the brain, muscles, heart, and even causing death in early childhood. These diseases are often relentless and untreatable. In some cases, they pass silently from generation to generation, only to erupt unexpectedly in a child without warning. According to the UK's Human Fertilisation and Embryology Authority, around 1 in 200 children are born with some form of mitochondrial mutation. Of those, roughly 1 in 6 develop serious disease. Now, imagine being told your child could inherit a deadly disorder and there's nothing you can do. Until now. If you're already hooked by this topic, consider liking this video and subscribing for more science explained with clarity and curiosity. Now, let's see how 3 DNA donors come together to create a healthy baby. This revolutionary procedure is called mitochondrial donation therapy, or more technically, pro-nuclear transfer. Here's how it works. The mother's egg is fertilized with the father's sperm. A second egg from a healthy donor is also fertilized by the same sperm. Scientists then remove the nuclear DNA from both embryos. The mother's DNA is inserted into the donor embryo, which contains healthy mitochondria. The resulting embryo now has nuclear DNA from the biological parents and mitochondrial DNA from the donor, around 0.1% of the total genome. This method was pioneered by researchers at Newcastle University and approved for tightly regulated use in the UK in 2015, making it the first country to formally legalize the technique. But here's an interesting twist. The first known baby born via mitochondrial donation wasn't in the UK. It was in Mexico in 2016. A U.S. team led by Dr. John Zhang performed the procedure there to avoid U.S. regulations. The child was born healthy, but the ethics of doing it outside legal oversight stirred a global debate. Now, nearly a decade later, the UK has done it by the book. In a July 2025 report, the Newcastle Fertility Center and the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Authority confirmed that 8 babies have been born in the UK using this technique. All 8 are currently healthy with no signs of mitochondrial disorders. This marks the first successful clinical application of 3-parent IVF under formal medical governance and long-term monitoring. It's not a theory anymore. It's a living, breathing reality. You might be wondering, does this child really have 3 parents? Scientifically speaking, the baby inherits about 20,000 genes from the mother and father and just 37 mitochondrial genes from the donor. So, no, the donor doesn't contribute to traits like eye color, height, or personality. But that tiny fraction of mitochondrial DNA is crucial for energy production and cellular function. Think of it like this. It's as if you replace the engine of a car without altering the design or the driver. The car still looks the same, but now it runs properly. But this isn't just a scientific story. It's an ethical one too. Critics argued that even minor germline modification could open the door to designer babies, or worse, genetic inequality. Some worry about identity. Should the child be told they have a third DNA contributor? Could this be exploited for enhancement rather than treatment? Others highlight issues of accessibility. Right now, the procedure is expensive and only available in a few highly specialized clinics. That raises concerns. Will this technology be available only to the wealthy? Could it deepen existing inequalities in reproductive health? Bioethicists warn of a slippery slope. Today, it's mitochondria. Tomorrow, it could be height, intelligence, or athletic ability. These concerns aren't hypothetical. In fact, many countries, including the United States, Canada, and Germany, and France, still ban or strictly limit this technique. The UK's legal framework is among the most rigorous, only allowing mitochondrial donation for the prevention of serious disease, and never for non-medical enhancements. Still, the line between therapy and engineering feels thinner than ever, and public opinion remains divided. A 2023 Pew Research survey showed that while most people support gene therapy for preventing disease, support drops sharply when it involves altering embryos or affecting future generations. So, what comes next? Scientists believe this is just the beginning. Similar mitochondrial editing could one day help prevent other inherited diseases. There's also growing interest in combining this with CRISPR gene editing tools to fix nuclear DNA defects at the embryo stage, though that remains highly controversial. The World Health Organization has called for global regulation and transparency before any expansion of these practices. It urges governments to establish legal and ethical safeguards, including parental consent, long-term studies, and international collaboration before normalizing germline interventions. And that's a key point. What makes this science powerful isn't just the technique, it's the responsibility behind it. Families who choose this path aren't seeking perfection. They're fighting for the chance to have a child who can live without suffering, to break a chain of inherited tragedy, to give hope where medicine once offered only pain. These 8 babies aren't just a medical success. They're a symbol of something deeper. They show us what's possible when science serves humanity. When we use knowledge not to control nature, but to correct its tragic mistakes with care, respect, and responsibility. This isn't about playing God. It's about giving life a chance it wouldn't have had otherwise. If this video made you think, give it a like and share it with someone who's curious about science and ethics. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Every week, we explore discoveries that are reshaping our world. And tell us in the comments, would you support this technique to save a life? Or do you think we're going too far with genetic intervention? Because in the end, rewriting DNA isn't just about altering genes. It's about rewriting what's possible for the generations to come.